You are buried alive, and you were born this way on purpose. Right now you are half a meter beneath wet sand, sealed in a pocket of stale air, with around 100 siblings, and the only reason your blood still carries oxygen is that all of you are breathing in slow, shared, suffocating turns. You have a single tooth on the tip of your face, a hard little spike called a caruncle, and you grew it in the dark for one job, to saw your way out of the egg that built you. You did it days ago. The egg is already behind you. Everything ahead is worse. Here is the rule of your life, and you need it now, before the sand opens. You were given just enough tools to begin the race, not enough to make the race fair. Out of every 1,000 hatchlings that scratch their way off a beach like this one, researchers estimate that maybe one lives long enough to come back and lay eggs of its own. Maybe one. Depending on the species, the beach, and the study, the real number drifts somewhere between 1 in 1,000 and 1 in 10,000. Nobody can count it cleanly. But every version of that math says the same thing. You are not the exception. The exception hasn't been born yet, and it probably isn't you. And the thing most likely to end you isn't the crab or the gull or the wave. It's quieter than that. It made its decision about you before you ever moved a muscle. Keep digging while you sit with that. Back up. A few weeks ago, you weren't even a turtle yet. You were a temperature. While you curled inside your shell, the sand around you held a number, and that number reached into the middle third of your growth and decided what you would become. Around the pivotal temperature, often near 29 degrees Celsius, depending on the species, the balance tips. Warmer sand makes more females. Cooler sand makes more males. You didn't get a vote. The siblings packed in beside you got their verdict from the same sand. Biologists call it temperature-dependent sex determination, and it means the beach itself is the parent that shaped you. There's a price buried in it you can't feel yet. The hotter the nest, the faster you cooked, and the weaker your swimming muscles came out the other side. In a warming world, more and more of you hatch female, and the warmest of you hatch already losing a race that hasn't even started. So you dig. Not alone. You can't. One hatchling in a column of sand this deep would wear itself out and die under the weight of everything above it. But 100 of you, working blind, turn the ceiling into a slow machine. The ones on top scrape the roof loose. It rains down. The floor climbs. You ride your own collapsing tomb toward the surface, a few centimeters an hour, for days. If you stop digging, you die before your life even starts. You don't eat. There is nothing to eat. All you carry is a yolk sac tucked into your belly, the last of the egg, and that is the entire fuel tank for everything you are about to attempt. Then the sand turns cool against your shell, and something in your body reads it like a starting gun. Cool means night. Night means the surface is no longer a frying pan, and the things that hunt by sight are half-blind. So you wait. You do not climb out into the heat of the day, because the day would cook you before you reach the water. Nobody taught you this. The thermometer wired into your skin simply says, now. You break the surface under the stars, and instantly you face a problem no one ever showed you the answer to. Which way is the ocean? You can't see it. You can barely lift your head. But the open sky over water glows fainter and lower than the dark wall of dunes behind you, starlight and moonlight scattering off the surf. And your eyes are tuned from birth to crawl toward the brightest, lowest horizon. You aim at the glow. You go. You try. The sand grabs your flippers and throws you sideways. You right yourself. Again. Again. You are slower than everything that wants to eat you, and your scramble has already told the whole beach you're coming. The ghost crabs felt your vibrations before you cleared the sand. They're already out of their burrows, pale and fast and sideways, and they don't need to kill you cleanly. A crab can drag a single hatchling underground and feed on it for days. Above you, the silhouettes drop. Herons, gulls, frigatebirds, that learned generations ago this beach serves dinner on cool nights. Down the tide line, a raccoon or a fox is already working. One, then another, then another. You have maybe 30 meters of open sand to cross. It is the longest journey you will ever make for your size. Most of your siblings never finish it. You don't stop for them. Stopping is just a slower way to be eaten. And this is the cruel part. You can make it to the water clean, and the water is not safety. The water is the next room of the same trap. But first, understand what you actually are, because for a few hours you become something close to magnificent. The instant the surf hits you, your body flips into what researchers call the frenzy. You stop crawling and start swimming, and you do not stop. For roughly the first full day of your life in the ocean, you swim almost without pause. Flippers hammering, head down, burning that yolk sac as fast as your cells can spend it. You're racing to put deep water between yourself and the shallows, because the shallows are where the fish stack thickest. You don't swim toward anything you understand. You swim away from the only world you've ever touched, on fuel that's already draining, steering by a sense most animals don't even have, because there is a map inside you, and you were born already reading it. The Earth's magnetic field shifts smoothly and predictably across the planet, and your nervous system can feel it. The angle of the lines, their strength. Biologists have found that hatchlings inherit a kind of magnetic chart, letting you hold a heading across thousands of kilometers of open water you have never seen and won't see clearly for years. A creature the length of a human hand, lighter than a small handful of coins, crossing an ocean basin by reading the magnetism of the Earth itself. That is what you are when everything works, and none of it changes what's coming. You reach the open sea. You ride the currents out to the great drifting rafts of sargassum weed, golden mats tangled in the gyres, and you bury yourself in them, because the weed hides you, and the weed grows the tiny things you finally get to eat. This is the part nobody watches. Scientists called these years the lost years, because for a long time no one knew where the small ones went. You spend them out here, hidden in floating weed, eating, growing, hunted the whole time from below by bigger fish, and from above by anything that skims the surface. Every day is the same arithmetic. Stay hidden, stay fed, don't get spent. But the worst threat out here isn't the fish, and it isn't hunger. It's something that doesn't even look like a predator. The same currents that carry your food carry our trash. A clear plastic bag suspended in blue water pulses and folds exactly like a jellyfish. Torn white fragments drift through the same weed you hide in, the same size and shape as the prey you were built to grab. You have no way to tell the difference. You snap at it, you swallow it, and it stays. Researchers who examined stranded young loggerheads off Florida found plastic in the digestive tracts of 39 out of 42 of them, nearly every single body. Swallow enough and your gut jams. You feel full while you slowly starve, and nothing inside you sounds an alarm, because for over 100 million years there was nothing in the sea worth warning you about. And if you somehow slip past all of it, the crabs, the birds, the fish, the weed that hides poison, you grow. It takes years. For some of you, 25 to 35 of them, before your body is finally ready to breed. And then the inside of your skull does the strangest thing of all. That magnetic map you were born with still carries the signature of one exact place, the precise stretch of beach you crawled across on your first night alive. You remember it the way you remember nothing else, because it was burned into you before you ever had a thought. And when your body is ready, you turn around and swim back, across the same thousands of kilometers, to find the one coast that nearly killed you the moment you hatched. This is your final test, and it's the one that closes the circle. If you're female, you drag your entire grown body up out of the water that became your whole world, back onto the open sand, still patrolled, still exposed, still an oven by day. You dig. You lay around 100 eggs into a chamber almost exactly like the one you once clawed out of. Then you cover them, crawl back into the surf, and you never see them again. You will never know if a single one survives. You weren't built to know. You were built to return, and dig, and leave. The eggs settle into the dark and take their temperature from the sand. The middle third quietly decides what they'll be. And somewhere in that clutch, a tiny tooth on the tip of a face presses against the inside of a shell. The warmth has finally weakened and cuts. The chamber starts to crowd. The ceiling starts slowly to fall. 100 small bodies begin riding their own collapsing tomb upward, toward a cool night, a bright horizon, and 30 meters of open sand lined with everything that's hungry. One of them, maybe, comes back in 30 years. The rest are already being counted against. You did everything right. You read a map no one handed you. You swam until your fuel ran dry. You crossed an ocean and came home. None of it was ever a choice. You were only doing the one thing the sand made you to do, and you never once knew how impossible it was. And somewhere off the same dark current, another small body is drifting into a trap built around a far stranger bargain, one that demands it dissolve itself completely, just to grow up.